When I finished the first draft of my book, I thought that the hard part was over. Little did I realize my nightmare was only beginning. Hello everyone and welcome to the Reulerverse. In this video, I'm going to tell the story of the near catastrophic mistakes I made in publishing my first book and what you can do to make sure that doesn't happen to you. In 2023, I had told all my friends and family that I was going to release my book, and at the beginning of that year, I had found an editor and began the editing process. Finishing my first draft was incredible, and editing was also a fun experience. I learned to take feedback in stride, and I got to see what people thought of the story. Everything was refined and ready to be published. By the time I got to the cover art, however, the book was 3 months out of release. Now I bet some of the more beginner writers watching this video are thinking, oh, 3 months? That's plenty of time to finish one piece of art, slap it on a book, and publish it. I thought that too, and I was so wrong. Let me show you why. So here's a cover template. This one is for a paperback book, and if you want to know where I got it, this is from bookout.com. It's Amazon KDP templates you can download for free. This one has the dimensions of my book, and my thought was that I could take the cover art and just fit it in here like a glove. Then for the spine and the back, I could just blur the background like so many books do. It turns out though, there's a little something I didn't account for, and that's bleed. Do you see the red borders coming out of this image? That's the parts of the cover that might get cut off during printing. And by might, they mean it will. I don't know why it's like this. I'm not a printing expert, but this meant that the artwork for my cover actually had to be bigger than I thought. And if you're a digital artist or know about digital art, you should realize immediately how time-consuming that is. I painstakingly took time out of my publishing schedule to expand the cover by a few centimeters, and then I thought I was done. Little did I know, this was only the beginning. Remember that 3-month time limit I had at the beginning? Yeah, well, now I was down to 2 months. And at this point, I was starting to make the trailer for my book as well. I was in drawing hell for that project because I decided to make it semi-animated. Anyway, that's a story for later. Just know that, on top of the issues that arose from the cover, gave me stress levels like nothing I had seen in my life. Still, I finished, and I took that cover art and uploaded it to Ingram Spark. They're a distribution company that's great for self-publishing. I thought, okay, I'll order some test copies. They'll come in about a week or two, I'll be able to see if there's any errors, fix them, and then get them sent again before release. However, as I was uploading the book, I came across another problem. Ingram Spark had to take the time to review the book and approve it for publishing. They said it would take 3 to 5 business days, so I waited. It took 2 weeks. 2! That's 10 business days. By the way, I looked this up, and this did not happen to most other authors on Ingram Spark. It happened rarely, and I was one of the lucky few. Yay! When I finally got that email that my book had arrived, I jumped onto the website and tried to have copies shipped immediately because I was running out of time! But when I was getting ready to confirm my order... Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I'm getting PTSD from this. This was legitimately traumatizing. It really was. I looked at how long it would take to ship to me, and it said 1 month. 1 month for 3 copies of a book. My first print test, by the way. This one was most likely going to have mistakes that I would need to fix. And I couldn't delay release at this point because my mom, super supportive by the way if you're watching, love you mom, had already figured out the venue for the launch party, invited friends and family, and one of her friends was very graciously hosting it. I didn't want to let my loved ones down, so delaying release wasn't an option. I scoured the internet looking for alternate solutions. There were a lot of rush services online, but they were expensive, and I didn't want to use them until I had exhausted all options. Then, I looked at Amazon KDP. Of course, I had already planned on publishing on KDP, but I did it on Ingram Spark as well because they are a distributor. However, what I didn't realize was that if I wanted to do print tests, I could, as long as I used a different ISBN number. If you don't know what that is, it's the barcode that goes on the back of a product. It's also perfectly legal to have multiple of those for the same product. They would just count it as different versions of it. So, I did just that. I changed the cover art yet again to include a different ISBN, put it up on Amazon, and they approved the book within 3 days. They also were able to get copies to me in 2 weeks, which would be a tight squeeze, but not impossible for my schedule. With a month left until the launch party, I ordered my copies on Amazon and prayed. 2 weeks later, they came in. I can't find them right now, but just know that this part on the end was a lot more cut off when the first print tests came in. But luckily, because I had learned about bleed before submitting the first version of my cover, the copies only had minor errors. It was nothing that wasn't fixable, but the problem is that I had 2 weeks before the party, and I wanted to have advance copies for guests. That would mean that, factoring in the time it would take me to fix the cover, not only would I need to use the rush service to get those advance copies, but they would also need to be good when they arrived. I wasn't expecting perfection, not at all, but I wanted the books to look good for the guests. With the pressure weighing on me, I went back into my drawing program and fixed the cover art again, hopefully for the last time. As the final weeks ticked down, I checked my email every day for details on the rushed copies. They were very thorough, letting me know when they started printing, when the books had printed, and when they had shipped. The rest was down to the people delivering it, and when it got down to the day before the party, my anxiety rose to uncontrollable levels. My mom kept assuring me, "It's okay, they're going to arrive and they're going to look good. You worked so hard on this, you deserve to celebrate." The afternoon before the day of the party, I was distracting myself, trying to forget about the clock ticking down, and then we heard the doorbell ring. I opened the door, and there it was, a massive package with 20 books inside. I hurriedly brought it inside, cut it open, and they were perfect. As I held the books in my hands, I couldn't help but break down in tears. There were multiple moments where I thought I wasn't going to make it. Quite frankly, I shouldn't have. Looking at this story from my more professional lens now, 3 months to do the cover, trailer, and print tests is crazy. I'm very lucky I found that rush printing company. They're called Digipod, and they were a godsend. This video isn't sponsored by them, but I'm giving them this shout out anyway because they did such a good job. I will definitely use their services again if I am in need of books quickly. That night, I invited my best friends over, and we celebrated. I gave them advance copies, signed them, and began signing copies for my family and friends who texted me to reserve one. The day of the party was magical. Over 50 people showed up, and everyone wanted me to sign a copy and take pictures with them. I got a glimpse into what my future as an author could be like, and it was everything I had ever dreamed of. A few weeks later, I officially released my book to the public, and reception of it since then has been overwhelmingly positive. Now, don't get me wrong, it still wasn't perfect. I later realized I wanted to do cream pages instead of white because that would make it more readable. So I changed that, and I had to expand the cover art yet again to accommodate that because cream pages are thicker. The point was, though, I made my insane deadline. You can argue that my bad luck was canceled out by an even crazier amount of good luck, but I'd like to think that it was my perseverance and resourcefulness that carried me through that crisis. At the time of this video's release, I still haven't released a hardcover version of Life Amongst the Giants yet, and that's mostly due to my trauma with the paperback cover. Since I didn't account for the enormous bleed of the hardcover, I've had to rework the art yet again, but it will for sure come out sometime this year, and I'll probably make a cool mini trailer for it. In the meantime, though, if you like this crazy story, consider subscribing and leaving a comment. I'm a new author at the time of this video, and I'm trying to build my platform. Also, if you want a step-by-step guide of how to make a book cover, and therefore how not to do the craziness that I did with my first book, let me know and I'll get that out as soon as I can. I hope I've inspired you, and I'll see you in the next video. Want to know more about publishing a book? Join my newsletter for a free writing guide. The link is in the description. Bye everyone!